Well, I made a start on this Triumph 350 3TA trail style bike yesterday, and I did actually get it running, although very roughly, and I think I found out why it was running so badly. Obviously the ignition timing was way out. I had to actually pull the distributor out. I had to unclamp it, pull it out and turn it round and put it back in order to get it to sort of twist round to a position where the timing would work. So I've done that, but in the process of doing that, I found that we've already had a master craftsman at work on this machine, it would seem. First of all, I had to undo the entire assembly, clamp and all, in order to get the distributor out and sort of turn it to where I wanted it and then put it back in. Then I realised that the little bolt that holds the clamping device to the crankcase was a very wobbly fit in the threads. That was because it was this one. Alarm bells rang when I found that I had to undo it using a 10mm spanner. That's because it's an M6 bolt, not a quarter BSF. That one in there now is a quarter BSF. That screws nice and snugly into the threads and is far less likely to strip the threads than this one would have been. But it was nice and shiny though. I mean, it was stainless, come on. Anyway, got that sorted. I got the engine to start. I had no sparks initially. I had to clean the plugs. They were very black, and that's a clue for a start off. Anyway, I got them cleaned up and got the engine to fire and start up on 2, whereupon it just about immediately dropped to 1 cylinder and ran very roughly on that and spat a load of goo out onto the front mudguard. That's because the exhaust pipes are loose. These clamping rings are done up tightly. I might have to sort of get them off and run a hacksaw or something through them so they close up tighter and perhaps with any luck hold the pipes tighter. But the reason that the bike was running so roughly and fouling the plugs and spitting all this goo out and everything was because it was running far too rich. So I thought I'd have a look at the carburetor, and I took it right off. I even had the top off and the slide out, but nothing untoward there. But if I show you this and you take a good look, and I then show you the float bowl and you take a good look, and I also will show you not only the side where the mixture screw and the throttle stop screws are, but the other side. Now there is a big clue. That right there is a big clue. These Mark 1 concentrics originally didn't have a pilot jet as such. They just had a tiny passageway through there, which sort of follows that line there, and basically it was such a small hole it was prone to clogging up and very difficult to clear out, as I've made videos discussing the matter already. But these, identifiable by that sort of like crosshead screw there, have got a much bigger diameter passageway drilled through them. But what they need, because of that, as a result of that, is a pilot jet. And the pilot jet can sometimes screw into one of those 2 holes you see there. I think certainly on the Mark 2s, if not the Mark 1s. But basically, if we look at the underside of this Mark 1, it might just be possible to see that one hole is open, and not only is it open as they usually are with the thread in there, but because of the big bore passageway that this type of carb's got, you need to have a pilot jet screwed into that hole, and there isn't one. So this thing has been dolloping more fuel in through the pilot passageway than it would normally ever manage to put in through the main jet and the needle jet. So I spotted this too late yesterday in the grand scheme of ordering stuff, but I've ordered a couple of needle jets. I've ordered a 20 and a 25, and they're not going to come today because it was too late in the day yesterday when I ordered them. So it's going to be tomorrow at least before I get them and get the chance to put the car back together and back on and try it. But I'm pretty confident that the engine will start and run properly. More muppetry down here. The owner asked me, obviously we got a centre stand on this machine. It's fastened up because one of my jobs is to fit and arrange a return spring for it. Now I sort of looked all over the place on this bike, and there's a hook for a spring. This is just what fastens the stand up. There's a hook for a spring on either side. I went into the house and I dug out some old photographs and a couple of Triumph T100Cs that I worked on here a few years ago showed me the answer. And basically on them, the spring is on this side, in spite of there being hooks for a spring on both sides of the stand. The T100Cs had their stand springs on this side, leading obviously from that hook on the leg there to a point somewhere around here. The only difference being on the T100Cs, when I zoomed in, there was a little special sort of bit sticking out there for the spring to hook on. Someone, in their wisdom, obviously to sort of make this bike more traily and whatever, and perhaps de-lug it or whatever they've done, has cut the bloody thing off. And if we go around the other side, we might be able to see that there would have been a similar thing on this side too, also cut off. So I'm going to have to speak to the owner, but what I would do if it was my bike, we don't want to start messing about trying to weld things here with all this nice paint and everything all together and complete. What I think I might do, and would do if it was mine, like I say, I'll speak to the owner first, is drill a hole in there, tap it out, and might just use the dreaded M6 size bolt, because it'll be a little bit smaller and need a little bit smaller hole than if I used a 1/4 BSF, and it would save having to drill such a large hole. But we don't need to drill anything too big. I think something like these screws from the concentric carburetor would probably be a bit too small. I think I'd like something a bit bigger than that, so I think I'll probably go for M6 size. But first I need to speak to the owner and get his approval, but it's something that I can get on with while I'm waiting for the pilot jet to arrive, among a few other bits and pieces. Also, this distributor, it's got points inside it, but obviously originally it would have had a black plastic cap with 2 plug leads coming out, one to each cylinder and one going to a coil. Well, it hasn't got that anymore, but it's got an operational set of points in there, so I'm assuming, I haven't seen yet, but I'm assuming that there's some sort of electronic ignition gubbins concealed in there somewhere possibly, or up under the tank, and I think that's probably what we're dealing with for the ignition. But like I say, I think I've got the timing pretty much where I want it now already. I just need pilot jet for this carburetor, and I think we could be in business for a start-up and a decent running engine. And I'm going to talk to the owner about drilling holes and tapping them out, and if we go from there. I just need to order probably the correct spring for the stand, and we should be in business with that one as well. So that's my plans, and there'll be a follow-up soon enough, I would think.